It's noon here on the East Coast, and this is news that you can use from YAA with your hosts, Zach and Ray. Well, I see you reverted back to the only t shirts you apparently own. That's not a Lululemon, is it?
Can we please it is actually an All Saints t-shirt, which is also expensive. I like nice t-shirts. I am not going to apologize for that. I spent my bar mitzvah money on it. Let us continue, Dad. The used car price bubble, the used car price bubble. Why'd I go there? The used car price bubble
And
continues to burst, Dad.
wait a second. I thought you used your bar mitzvah money when you got
I
arrested in
did. I
Pittsburgh
did.
for underage purchasing of alcoholic beverages.
Family show. I did get arrested. I ended up writing an essay about it. You should not use fake IDs, kids out there. It is stupid, and you should just wait till you're 21 or go to Europe or go to Canada. But we are going to talk about the used car price bubble. Okay, Dad? Black Book has the latest data, came out today. We are going to have the Black Book team on with us tomorrow, so please join us then. We'll have even more insights from them. Here we go, Dad. Another 0.9% drop in wholesale used vehicle prices week over week.
Yes, but the most interesting aspect of it is the last line of the paragraph above the chart. Okay, in we know that compact cars only increased three hundredths of a percent. Okay, um, but that was on cars that were 0 to 2 years old. Cars that were 2 to 8 years old, there was actually a decline of 63 hundredths of a percent. So that would indicate that the newer pre-owned vehicles that are making it to market in the compact range are actually appreciating slightly, while the older 2 to 8 year old ones are depreciating more quickly.
Yeah, and so
Interesting, I thought.
and take appreciate let's just say it this way. Let's say that the 0 to 2 year old vehicles are holding their value better than the older vehicles are. And this, Dad, let's like do a little extrapolation here. Why would that be? The people that can afford 2 to 8 year old compact cars likely going to be lower price points. Maybe we're seeing a weakening of demand even at that area versus people who could afford 0 to 2 year old vehicles. Maybe they're still flush with cash, more affluent buyers. They're propping up prices. Could that be what it is?
Well, and I think the other thing that might play into that, to the 0 to 2 year old cars, is because there is such a severe shortage of brand new cars. There's a dramatic shortage of new vehicle inventory for brands such as Subaru, Honda,
Yeah.
Toyota, Mazda. Okay, so if you can't get your hands on a brand new one, uh, perhaps you'll be more interested in looking at a 1 to 2 year old one, since you can't get your hands on that brand new one. So that is helping to push the used values of those cars up.
Yeah.
And then the other the older ones, the 2 to 8 year old ones, are declining, because that's what we're seeing happening as an overall in the marketplace. So I think the new car shortage of certain brands is more impactful than anything there.
And we do have an article from Automotive News titled Toyota Output Shrinks for Fourth Month on Shortages Domestically. So we will talk about the new car market as well. It leads me, Christopher's got a point here. Christopher, he says, don't be fooled. This is not going to last. Drought and abrupt climate change is going to impact global climate supply chains. Buy new and used now. But maybe what we're going to see here, Dad, is a continued disparity in vehicle valuation of older vehicles and newer vehicles. You want to get a 0 to 2 year old vehicle, you're going to
Gonna
still
pay.
pay. You're going to pay. You want an older 6 year old Corolla? They're going to still depreciate. I'm not saying that with certainty, but it could be an interesting, reality that we start to see here play out over the next couple of weeks and months.
Uh, and I agree with that. I think everything is tied to certain brands that are truly struggling to get new cars to the market. And the newer used cars of those brands will continue to show appreciation or go up in value, become more valuable as a used car commodity than, say, the slightly older ones. And that's a good sign for people who really can't afford the newer cars, that are just so far out of their budget, that we continue to see the slightly older cars depreciating in value at a much higher rate than had been for the last, well, we've seen this now. This is what, the sixth or seventh week of pretty significant decreases or declines in the wholesale values of 2 to 8 year old cars.
It'll really be, nothing has changed. It's still supply and demand. It'll really be fascinating to see the impacts and effects of continued supply shortages on the new car side and how that influences newer used vehicle depreciation patterns. But on the supply side, we also expect an increase in repossessed vehicles as we've seen a moderate and increasing auto loan delinquency rate uptick. I have no clue. I have absolutely no data on if repos are going to be more amongst the cohort of newer used vehicles or older used vehicles. We are certainly getting into the minutiae here, but it's fascinating because you may see divergent patterns, and Black Book's highlighting this. You're starting to see divergent patterns in depreciation for the same segment of vehicle, but now age of vehicle is playing an even more important role. I wouldn't be surprised that if the repoed cars are actually newer repoed used cars, which could actually start to offset some of it. It's like so many different pieces at play.
There are any number of variables and variations that we could see, but it's a good sign overall that we have seen a steady increase in the loss of value of most segments of vehicles over the last 6 or 7 weeks. And in a lot of cases, significant increases in the amount of depreciation that we're seeing. And one of the other driving factors behind it is there is definitely a softening or weakening of the used car market. There are less buyers out there. As we dig in deeper into some of these stats, days to turn are going up. Average days on lot is increasing.
The number of retail listings has increased to the highest level it's been so far this year.
Yes. So those things are all indicative of the fact that there are less people in the market right now. And that's going to cause, at a certain point, if there's less buyers, it's going to cause dealerships to have to work harder to sell cars because there's less people to sell them to. So if there's less people to sell them to, one of the ways most dealerships know how to do that, to sell the car, is to lower the pricing of the vehicle or to suddenly become amenable to negotiating off of the asking price of a used vehicle. So I think we'll continue to see, with the softening of the market, more and more reasons for dealerships to become more amenable to adjusting their pricing.
We've got two great examples here today of actually, I don't know, I'm going to call it winning your negotiations, and also winning in the sense you don't have to overpay for a used car. Here's a perfect example from the YAA car search. I just went to join YAA.com and I searched for used vehicles. Dad Coons here in our area, my area, has a 2018 Mitsubishi Outlander for sale advertised on their website. Advertised price is $17,000. One of the things I absolutely love about our car search is if I scroll down, I can see the price history. The five most recent price changes, Dad. On July 27th, this vehicle was listed with an advertised price of $19,500. On August 10th, they dropped the advertised price to $19,000. On August 15th, they dropped it to $18,500. On August 29th, they dropped it to $18,000. Today, August 30th, they dropped it to $17,000. Like, this is not made up. This is literally just go to the car search, click on buy, and you can see this happening in real time too.
And I'm, as you know, I'm not good at math, but that's over a 20% decline in the asking price of the vehicle from 19.5 to 17,000. If it was a 10% decline, well, no, it's slightly more than a 10% decline, which we have said many times. You can go in, and yes, there are dealers out there that will not negotiate with you. They just refuse to for whatever reason. But you can go in and you can offer somewhere between 5 to 10% less in
Yep.
many cases than what they're asking, and get them to do it. Because if they're lowering the prices by slightly more than 10% on their own, well, that means that there's movement there. There's room there. They recognize the need to get rid of that vehicle because it's only going to cost them more money to hold on to it. It's going to cost them more money because the floor plan charges they pay to the bank to finance their inventory are going up. So every day that car sits on the lot, the more expensive it becomes, the lower the ultimate profit margin is. Better to take a retail deal where you have an opportunity to send that customer through the finance and insurance office and make
Yep.
some money on financing or extended warranties or tire and wheel or dent and ding, whatever it is. Better to do that than to send it to the auction where you're not making any additional money off of what you sold it for. At the auction, actually, it cost you money because there was transportation fees to get it there. There were auction fees to run it through the auction. So it actually you end up taking less than what the highest bid was because of the expenses involved in getting it there. So better for dealers today when they're looking at their pre-owned inventory, think about how we can reduce the price and get a retail customer than not reduce the price at all and end up getting a wholesale customer and really limiting what we can make on it.
Absolutely, Pops. We got a little Pops pixelation going on today, but hopefully the Wi-Fi there at Sunset Harbor figures itself out. You're coming through loud and clear, though, so that is a-okay. I want to jump back.
Did you want to tell the nice folks exactly what apartment to find me in? I mean, my God.
I actually don't remember what apartment number you are in. I just know I walk up the stairs and I open your door. You usually leave it. Nope, I'm not even going to say that you leave it unlocked. We are going to, Dad.
Welcome, everybody.
You leave it unlocked when I'm around, which I appreciate.
Yeah, well, that's because I wouldn't expect you to bring a key.
Here you go. Retail Listings Weekly Price Index, green line. That's
Yes.
2022. You can see we are at the lowest price, advertised prices for retail listings online, thanks to Black Book's data. I just demonstrated it, obviously, on the joinyaa.com website as well. So we are seeing retail and advertised prices start to come down. Listings volume, Dad. We are up about 6, maybe 7%. Green line again, 6, maybe 7% in terms of amount of retail listings that are online right now. That's another good sign. And
Yes.
days to turn, like you said, Pops, it ticked up. Now, one value that actually went down week over week is the sales rate at the auction. Sales rate dropped to 60%. That means 6 out of the 10 cars that made it across the lane actually sold. Black Book's best guess as to why here, Dad. Where is it? Compared to weeks prior, large independent dealers popped up in some lanes occasionally, but smaller franchise dealers were still taking advantage of the absence of large independent dealers and dominated the lanes. Sales rates were down along with inventory as sellers are holding tight on floors. This means that someone is not willing to sell a car at the auction for as big of a loss as the buyers
as it
actually
probably
want to pay.
takes. Yeah, that's the problem. Many sellers are not willing to let the vehicle go for as big a loss as it would take to actually end up getting cash for that vehicle, which you could then turn around and utilize to buy a less expensive vehicle, which would allow you the opportunity to make a greater retail profit. So I get why dealers sometimes thinks, well, I don't want to take that kind of loss, but really what they're doing is ultimately they will take that kind of loss or more, even if next week somebody hits the floor for them, that was another week that they didn't have to turn that cash, that pile of cash, into a profit opportunity. Um, I mean, sometimes some of these dealers just don't look at the big picture. Just because they were the unfortunate ones to have overpaid for that vehicle when they bought it doesn't mean that the next dealer that buys it at the auction is willing to do the same. Take your losses, take that cash, buy fresh merchandise that you can then put on your lot to retail and make it up with your retail profits. It's almost delusional thinking when you say, "Well, I'm not willing to take that." Well, you need to be if you want to turn it into cash, so you can turn it into a profit.
Here's a little foreshadow. As you all know, we do on Wednesdays over on the main YAA channel, we do our market updates. Okay. The title of tomorrow, this is the foreshadow. The title of tomorrow's market update is going to be something along the lines of you should get 10% off the asking price on a used car right now. I mean, that's literally, that's the advice. I mean, maybe you don't get full 10%, maybe you end up with like 5 to 7% discount. But right now, that dealership is looking down the barrel at a reality, which is, oh crap, I'm going to take this to the auction. I'm probably not even going to be able to get what I want at the auction. So I might as well take the hit on the front end with the customer and try and upsell them the extended warranty, try and upsell them the gap, try and make money on the loan. Now is are used car prices fair? Hell no. They went up 40, 50% last year. Can you negotiate 5 to 10% off of the advertised price? And has the advertised price gone down significantly over the past couple of weeks? Yes. So like when we see people in the chat that like magic tricks say, when will new car prices drop? A few more months? No, new car prices are not going to drop maybe ever again. Like the sad reality is new car prices are going up, 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 and up. And we have the Toyota news we'll talk about here in just a second. Nothing's going to change on the new car side in the next few months. But on the used car side, it's a buyer's market. Go negotiate. Go wait. Go walk. This is the time to go use all the tactics that used to work. They'll work now.
It's the closest thing that we've seen to a buyer's market on pre-owned cars that we've seen in quite some time. It's not a total buyer's market, but today buyers have a tad bit more leverage than they had last month or the month before that or the month before that or a year and a half ago. Okay. Things are finally catching up to on the wholesale side. Last year the appreciation was what, 50% or 35%?
30 plus 40%. I mean, it was ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay. And this year there is none. Okay. And I remember last year saying, well, the type of appreciation we're seeing week over week, month over month was not sustainable. This proves that it was not sustainable, which is why we haven't seen any real increases in the wholesale values of vehicles, to the sense that, we're seeing 20, 30, 40% increases in those values. The values are actually declining and have been for the past 7 or 8 weeks. We're in a trend. The first week it was, okay, maybe it's an anomaly. The second week, well, maybe there's something going on. You're in the 7th, 8th, or 9th week of this. That is a trend. That gets dealers' attentions, or it should. At least it gets the smart ones' attention, and they know what they're faced with. And what they're faced with is weakening demand, a softening market, higher costs of paying for your inventory to have it sit on your lot, the less likelihood of being able to wholesale out of the vehicle at a break-even point, so that the smart dealers out there understand that they have to give up some of the profit they were hoping to make on the vehicle to create a retail customer in order to try and earn back or win back some of that lost profit in the F&I office. So yes, it's starting to move a little bit towards a buyer's market. You have, as a buyer, more leverage than you've had in the last 2 years. And so, yes, there's many dealers out there say, well, you either take our price or you leave it. You look at them and go, okay, I'll leave it. Okay. And I'll go find the dealer that is more than willing to talk about lowering the price to make it more affordable to me.
All right, and there are some examples. This comes by way of our community forum, Dad, even on new cars. Here's a
Hmm.
Nissan Sentra, Dad. I'm going to zoom in so we can all see it nice and big. MSRP of $19,810. The options that are added by the manufacturer, the destination charge, we get to an MSRP of
Hmm.
$21,465. Now, this dealership, they're doing their best job to try and make as much money as possible. On a Nissan Sentra, we've got the 21,465 MSRP, all the way marked up to $30,261. This is, of course, in Florida. Now, this is what I love to see from community members. Market value,
Hmm.
30,261. Then they are discounting, does not get old. Discounting
Yes.
$5,330, getting us to our price, which is now just, I don't know, $3,000 over MSRP. Trade value
3,500.
2,000,
Yeah.
3,500. Trade value 2,000. Ultimately, we've got a 25,937 out the door price. This is what I love to see from our community, Dad. Again, we're not saying this is the deal you should take, but look at that trade value. It just
Yeah.
magically jumped up $1,000, right?
Wow.
I mean, so there is, as you've always said, Pops, and I just want to remind everyone that if you are interested to know what your car is worth, just go to the YAA website, joinyaa.com, click on sell, put your VIN or your license plate in one place, get all the offers in one place. You can see what your car is actually worth, the cash offers for what your car is actually worth. Dad, this is just proof that, like you've always said, in any type of negotiation, you can accept it, you can reject it, you can modify it. It's a perfect example of someone from our community. I mean, they're just modifying it. Nope, I want more
Yeah.
for my trade. Nope, I don't want to do the deal at that price. Yeah, because Susanna's right. A Sentra with a $10,000 markup isn't quite worth it.
Well, but the key and the key always has been to have the courage of your convictions. And if you know that they're asking too much, even though you might want the car, don't be afraid to walk away from it. You, as the consumer, have the ultimate power in the sense that you can utter a two-letter word that creates an issue for the salesperson. And that two-letter word is no. Nope, not good enough. Nope. Nope, can't do that number. Nope. If you can't get the number better, then I have to leave. And they don't really, maybe today they don't give a damn if you leave or not, because they're thinking is, well, there's enough new car buyers out there right now that'll come in and they'll do what we need them to do. Or maybe they're finally starting to see that people aren't as willing to do what they need them to do, and people are pushing back more. And the real key is to push back. The more people push back, and I don't mean as a person, I mean as a collective group of buyers out there, the more that collective group of buyers pushes back against additional dealer markups, $4,000 worth of dealer installed accessories, whatever it may be. The larger that group is that pushes back, um, the more the dealers start to get the message that the people aren't willing to do that anymore. Um, and it really goes back to what we've been saying for months and months and months. If you only want a car, you don't actually need the car, you just want the car, don't buy it. If you need a car, I get it. You're stuck. You need it. You have to do something. But if you're just buying out of want as opposed to need, take yourself out of the market. It will help send the message to the dealers that people aren't willing to pay those inflated prices. It there's power in numbers. If there's only one person that's saying no, doesn't mean anything to the dealer. But suddenly, if it's 1,000 of their customers coming in and saying no, at that point they might think to themselves, maybe we need to make an adjustment.
I
That's
was
just me.
I like when you do that. All right, we are going to switch gears, Pops. We'll save the Toyota news for tomorrow. It's nothing too material. They're struggling to make cars. That's not a news story. And everything that you just said, applies even more so to used vehicles like we've been talking about today, and less
Yes.
so, unfortunately, for new because of those challenges. However, let's switch gears.
Okay. Really? You
You've
gotta
got to
be
be
kidding me.
I shared this one with you, Dad. Also, yeah, in
Yes.
case anyone was curious, I get remarketing ads for Advanced White Arm & Hammer toothpaste. I didn't know I needed that. Arkansas town banned from giving speeding tickets after writing too many. Over half the town's revenue came from traffic citations, running afoul of Arkansas state law. This is a great article from The Drive.
Yes.
Thank you, Steph, for writing it up. It is a tiny town with a population of 274 individuals, and it ran afoul of Arkansas's anti-speed trap laws that prohibit more than 30% of a town's revenue from coming from traffic citations. In Menifee, this is where we are, Menifee, Arkansas, an audit found that traffic fines comprised over half of the town's revenue. Dad, quote, this comes from the prosecuting attorney, Tom Tatum. Clearly, they were writing substantially more tickets than other communities that were similarly sized. Tatum worked on the audit of the town's finances, which found the city took in over $120,000 in traffic fines during 2020 alone.
Wow.
Wow.
You know what I would be curious about is how many of the Menifee residents themselves were ticketed. My guess is if you could prove you were from Menifee, you didn't get a ticket. Or if they knew you were from Menifee, you didn't get stopped and get a ticket. But if you were from anywhere else, well, just for driving through, we wanted to stop you, say hi, and hand you a citation.
Here we go, Pops. I'll give you some stats on what was going on in Menifee. Let me pull this up on the screen so everyone can read along with me. Yet the stats don't lie about Menifee's speed trap status. THV 11 acquired the full record of tickets written by the Menifee Police Department between January 1st, 2018 and August 24th, 2022. 0 warnings were given by Menifee police in that time period. Despite
Wow.
Randall's assertions to THV 11 that he encouraged officers to make more use of warnings, one officer wrote a whopping 771 traffic citations alone, although he
Wow.
was a bit of an outlier given that the next highest number in citations written by one officer was 263. This is mind-boggling to think that this town relies over 50% of their revenue comes from just ticketing folks that drive through there. That's no bueno. That's no good.
I will say one thing.
Huh.
If and when we drive cross country again, we are well now because they're not allowed to write tickets. We're gonna blow through Menifee.
You see a Mini Cooper Clubman all four, mini Clubman all four, and a green bike on top. That's us driving cross country.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just gonna blow through that town because we know they can't write us a ticket this year.
Mark says we have one of those in Florida on a pretty major road, 55 to 35 to 45 to 65 to 45 to 25 to 55, all within about 20 miles of road. It's a known speed trap community. Yeah, I've seen these when I've driven around. It's just crazy to think that much percentage of a community's income could be derived from writing traffic citations. Let's call it a show for today, Dad. A couple minutes early before the half hour. We are going to be back tomorrow with the Black Book team. So please, if you are fascinated by used car market information, they are the most preeminent source in the industry. They work with all the financial institutions. They work with all the dealers. They work with us. So join us for tomorrow's show. We got the president, Jared Kalfas, on with us and his cast and crew, including Laura Wehunt, and I think Alex may be joining us as well. They're head of data science. We got a great team tomorrow. Please join us back here for that.
Terrific. We'll see you all back here tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, with more news that you can use from YA. Thanks, everybody, for being here today.
See you guys.